They say affordable housing, but they never say what it was built on. And I know you'd believe me if I told you that entire housing projects in America sit on stolen land. And not just any land, burial grounds. Indigenous cemeteries erased, because even in death, America does not let Native people rest. During the New Deal era, the federal government launched massive public housing initiatives to address poverty. But land was needed, cheap land and fast. And guess what land was considered unclaimed and underused? Indigenous land. Public housing was literally built over native burial grounds, with full knowledge by local officials and developers. Reports even surfaced of human remains that were unearthed during construction, and they were kept quiet. This was an ancient history. Some of these housing projects still stand. Generations of Black, brown, low-income families were placed into units built on sacred ground. It was trauma layered on trauma. The erasure of one community to house another still struggling for justice. Federal housing policy has always been a tool of control. Redlining kept Black folks out of white neighborhoods. Urban renewal displaced entire communities. And the land, that was never neutral. The same happened in parts of Southern California, where housing units were constructed over Tongva ancestral burial sites. No reparations, no acknowledgement. Even New York's Seneca Village. This whole country, really, but New York's Seneca Village, which wasn't housing per se, but home to a thriving Black and Irish community. It was bulldozed to make Central Park. I did a video on it like some months ago. Built on land originally occupied by the Lenape people, the state doesn't just steal land. It layers injustice on top of it, over and over again. We talk a lot about the housing crisis, right? And we should. But we rarely ask, why is land treated like it has no memory? Why is affordable housing built on top of Indigenous graves, toxic waste sites, or flood zones, and handed to people who have the least power to say no? Because racism is expensive. And it's also convenient. It costs nothing for the government to just pretend that land is just land, to ignore that spiritual, ancestral, and communal ties were bulldozed for cinder blocks and cheap rent. And when people, especially Native activists, push back, they're told it's progress, as if desecration can be justified by density. This isn't just about what's under your feet. It's about what gets buried on purpose. The truth, the people, the history. And if America can bury the dead without permission, what makes you think that it won't bury the living the same way?